If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000. The Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs starts now.
You know, debt collectors are legally required to follow certain guidelines. It's a frequent topic on the radio show and the podcast. And when they contact you about a debt that you owe, they have to make sure that they don't violate the guidelines. They can be breaking the law. It happens a lot. I want to provide for you some examples of how they break the law. It's a frequent occurrence because, you know, there's a study that came out a handful of years ago that said almost half of Nevada residents has one collection on their credit. It's a lot. Look around the room you're in. You're in a car. You've got two of you in a car. Maybe one of you has a collection. Pretty crazy. So there's a handful of things. I'm going to give you 5 of them to kind of think about here. The first thing is harassment. You know, collectors are prohibited from engaging in any sort of behavior which is harassment or abuse when they try to collect. They can't threaten you. They can't swear at you. They can't make repeated phone calls to you that are, you know, made to annoy you or intimidate you. I hear about this fairly frequently, not from the local agencies, but, you know, people that are called from companies in different parts of the country, where they'll make, generally when there's a threat of jail, it's a scam. But sometimes they'll threaten and say, listen, we're gonna make this legal. We're gonna take you to court, and they're doing something that they should not be doing. It's against the law to do that. Or they'll swear, or they'll call you repeatedly. You'll get a phone call, you won't know the number, and then they'll hang up and they'll call back again if you don't pick up. Can't do that. They can't make false or misleading statements. You know, they can't tell you that they work at a law firm if they don't. They can't misrepresent the amount of a debt or your consequences for not paying a debt. They can't do that. They can't tell you what's going to happen. They can't misrepresent their identity. Or sometimes we'll hear from people that say they were called by someone from the government demanding that they pay their bill. They're prohibited from unfair practices. Like, you know, as an example, trying to collect interest and fees or other charges which you're not contractually bound for to pay. They're not authorized by law or in the underlying original agreement. They're not allowed to deposit a post-dated check before the agreed upon date. Big no-no. Another unfair example of unfair practices. Another big one, happens once in a while, the disclosure of information to a third party. They're not permitted to disclose information about you to anyone other than you. So if they call you at work, by the way, it's not illegal for them to call you at work. If you tell them you can't get calls at work, it becomes illegal. By the way, if you tell them what hours you work, a call to your cell phone is also considered a call to your work. Just so we know that. Can't talk to somebody at your office, can't talk to friends, can't skip trace you and go looking for other people. People that you may know, family members, neighbors, anyone else. They cannot disclose information to a third party without your permission. Now, the last one, this is a big one, and this happens frequently. They cannot ask you for money once you've asked them to validate the debt. If you say, listen, in your initial conversation, I don't think this is mine, I need you to validate the debt, which I tell people to do all the time. They're required to provide a verification, a validation of the debt. I'm sorry. Has to go out and get to you within 5 days. Doesn't have to get to you within 5 days. Has to go out from them within 5 days. I cannot stress the importance of getting anything you can validated. And, I've spoken at great length about people providing information which is inaccurate, lies about what, collection agencies are required to do by law. They look for the original signed agreement and the complete pay history and, what we would refer to as account level data. They're not required to do that under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They should give you what they have. And it's generally minimal. They don't even need to show you the assignment of debt necessarily. So get what you can get before you do anything else. And don't make a deal. Don't say, listen, I need the debt validated, and let them say to you, well, can you pay us something? $5, $10, $20. That's against the law for them to do that while your debt's being validated. They cannot attempt to collect that debt from you.
You've been listening to the Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs. If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000.